So we are now being recorded.
Just a moment.
And in just a second.
Just a moment.
So we are now being recorded.
Just a moment.
And in just a second.
Just a moment.
Okay, so we have a 2-item agenda for Tuesday, October 26th with the General Government Public Safety Committee. May I get a motion to approve the agenda?
Move to approve the agenda as published.
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any additions, pulls? Any changes? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carried. So we have an agenda. Great. So next up is the 2021 property retained by the police department. Hello there, Chief Almada.
Good morning, members of the committee. Good to see you all.
Good seeing you.
Good morning.
Good morning. Today, we're going to talk about the retained equipment for the police department pursuant to regulation RCW 63-32-.01, subsection 2, which states that police departments may retain property which has been properly processed for use for department purposes when appropriate, as long as we report that back to the city council and subcommittee. As you know, since 2016, we haven't added anything to the list. However, in 2020, we did add one item. That was a rifle magazine with 30 rounds of .223 ammunition, which is consistent with what we deploy in the field with our patrol rifles. And so we use that item for training purposes. So by our training team. And that's been the only addition for the past year.
Okay. Is there any questions, or do we need to approve this before the council?
I think we need to forward this for full council for consideration.
I think so too. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to move the yearly review of property retained by the police department to the full council. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? So that was quick. Motion has carried. So next item is the update of the LMC. Yes? Oh, okay. Go ahead. I have a lot of questions about this anyway.
Good morning, Mayor, Council. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, good morning. You have before you a recommendation to approve a change to the code having to do with adding the deputy chief position to this particular ordinance, which would be drafted by Dave Schneider, our city attorney. This is an item which I can only describe as a cleanup item from a previous special civil service commission meeting prior to my arrival here at the city in May 2019, in which there was discussion, and I understand the approval by the commission to actually change the language. So the idea would be with this particular, with the staff report that you see attached before you. So I apologize, I'm just getting down to it. It will actually remove the deputy chief. So it would be the police chief and the deputy chief that would actually be removed from civil service coverage and eligibility. Right now, as it is with the civil service rules, it has been updated in the rules, which took effect. The commission approved this in May 2019 prior to my arrival here. And at that time, it should have come before council for approval. So the recommendation is that the code be updated to reflect that the deputy chief would also not be covered under civil service eligibility.
Council Member Greenstein.
I'm assuming what we need to do here is just, you need this moved to the full council for a vote, I'm guessing, correct?
Correct.
So I will move that we forward this to the full council for approval.
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? I have a discussion item. I realize it's a housekeeping thing, but it seems not counterintuitive why they would remove the assistant police chief from being covered under civil service rules. And I just don't quite get that, why somebody, I'm having a hard time even with the police chief, but let alone the assistant police chief. It just doesn't make any sense that they aren't protected under civil service rules.
So Deputy Mayor Pratt, if I may, it's not a typical practice to have either a police chief or a deputy chief because they're exempt and they're police management at-will positions covered under civil service. The civil service was designed basically, there were a number of cities prior to the formation of unions, for example, that had civil service rules that covered positions, and other bigger cities like first-class cities have positions other than like police and fire included. But it is something that frankly, doesn't really make sense from an administrative perspective to actually have an exempt management position covered. The police chief is an exempt management position, as is the deputy chief. So that would be why it wouldn't be covered under civil service rules. Certainly that covered under city policies and department policies as well.
So with that, the assistant deputy chief could just be fired at a whim without it, just because somebody politically doesn't like him. Yes?
Well, technically speaking, all of the directors and all of the managers are at-will positions. So it's not a, this isn't this particular position has been, segregated out. It is just in alignment with our practice.
Okay. I'm just, civil service with the state went in 62 and it was really bad before then. So I'm just really hesitant about those things. So, okay. So we have is there any other questions or discussion?
No.
Okay. So we have a motion on the floor. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. So the motion is carried to move it on to the full council for approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
And that ends our meeting.
Yeah.
Gosh, that was so quick. I thought we'd have this long discussion, but oh well.
Okay.
Sounds
seeing
good.
See you in a little while.
See you at 10:30, Lenny. Bye-bye.
Bye.